Dead man talking. Tonight's story is a fantastically creepy and different angle werewolf story and encounter. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy this one. Please do let me know down below in the comments. Of course, please do like and share. And I hope you guys are not panicking like me now, as we're almost upon Christmas Day. Not even halfway there ready. Good luck with all your Christmas shopping. Keep safe. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's story, entitled Everyone Gets Werewolves Wrong. Let's get straight into that. No one really knows much about werewolves anymore. They've sort of fallen out of style. Either they are men who become full, awesome-looking wolves, or they just sort of get hairy and golden-eyed. And the whole full moon thing is totally out of fashion. Too inconvenient. Well, I don't blame them. In truth, there's very little appeal to real werewolves. I was staying with relatives at the time. Relatives that I didn't know so well, but my parents did. It was a nice enough stay, of course, but one evening, quite a few of them went to some dinner, which was going to feature too much alcoholism for me to be appropriately permitted. So, I was left in the house, not alone, of course. I was put in with my great-uncle Roman. Great-uncle Roman had barely spoken a word since we had got there. He had seemed perfectly friendly, but I didn't particularly like him. There was something a bit strange about his look. Something like he was always on the edge of shouting at you, but trying to hide it. Even when he was happy, laughing, there was this air that he would break out into something fierce. I'm sure if my experience with him were left at that, I would assume he was just simply abusive. Some creep, one of the classic family skeletons in the closet. He was old enough to pack about as much punch as any man can before he gets too old. He was the sort of brown-skinned, grey curly-haired bodied man who even the most boisterous of teenage boys knew not to challenge. Great Uncle Roman had, as soon as the rest of the family had left, locked himself inside his room near the back. I had taken a peek earlier in the week, and all I had seen in there was a metal chair in the back of the corner. I assumed he had a bed somewhere else, but I found the whole thing quite odd. In this room was for leisure. It didn't seem to be very well thought out. I only got a quick peek, so it was possible I had missed something. Anyway, he gave me leave of the television and most other appliances, with his main request being not to disturb him in his room. I was of course more than happy to oblige him. It was a portion of the evening where the television had nothing worth watching, so I sort of just left it on as background noise. I managed to catch it I managed to catch the end of some formulaic panel. So I just sort of left it on as background noise. I managed to catch the end of some formulaic paranormal investigation show with obnoxious American hosts who were trampling through the woods with night vision cameras, searching for some county-specific beast, inevitably with red glowing eyes, and almost always walking on two legs, beyond reason. It did manage to catch me off guard, however, especially since I was by most rights alone in the house. I apprehensively looked out the window into the solid blackness outside. Despite the fact that it was a full moon, everything was black. I got a primal feeling that one does, the shiver up the spine, the lingering fear that something would dash by, barely seen, or worse, come up to the window and look through. I had made this mistake of winding myself up about that window, especially since it had no curtain to close. I cursed myself, knowing that I would be forced to take terrified glances at it, always expecting to see something pressing against the glass. I switched idly through the blaring channels with the volume low, and made uncomfortable takes at the rectangle of black and the darkness outside the house. And something was there. A pale belly with clawed hands and feet, long, spindly fingers. I jumped, and so did it. It was a frog, nothing but a stupid, slimy nighttime frog. It croaked rhythmically and crawled up and down the windowsill. And I listened for a similar chorus of frogs outside. The chatter. It almost sounded like one of them had gotten in the house. So I muted the sound on the television. There was a creaking from Great Uncle Roman's room. Rhythmic creaking and croaking, as if he was rocking back and forth on his chair. I got up and slowly paced down the hallway, silently, my socks tracing the carpet so that he had no chance of hearing me. As I approached the locked door, I heard breathing. I knew it must be his. But I heard that it wasn't. You see, the breathing was deep and slow and muffled, with the tiniest hint of a wet, throaty rattle. The creaking went on, and then, without any indication as to reason, it stopped dead. The breathing, everything went quiet, and I froze. I heard a voice make a seep, hissing sound, and slowly, but surely, it became more refined until a solid shh. A chill crept down my spine as the voice sounded like it was practicing shh, 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 shh. And then my name, Sean. Open the door for us, mate. Great Uncle Roman had moaned the words, almost whined them, his voice tonal and husky and breathy, with the sound of his tongue slathering over his words. I looked down at the carpet floor and saw that a key had been slid under the door some time ago. I went to bend over and grab it, and then stopped myself. I didn't want to open the door. Why would he need me to open the door? I stayed quiet and decided to hope that he would think I wasn't there. Sean, open the door. His breathing increased in rapidness. It sounded odd, like he was blowing through his teeth, like his jaw was thrust forward. I know you're there, Sean. Open the door. There was something not quite right about the way he said those exact words. Open the door. The tone was too consistent, too repetitive. It was like when a parrot says a phrase. It doesn't know how much to copy and how much to improvise. The voice behind the door had practiced those words. It had said them so many times. I could feel it. Open the door. I almost fell backwards. The voice had come from much, much closer now. He was standing against the door, still breathing deeply, still in that husky, rattly way. Then there was scraping. Slowly at first, a soft, sliding sound up and down the surface of the wood. And then, as his breathing got louder, the scraping got harder and faster. Sean, open the door. It got louder, but not more angry sounding. The scraping became bashing, pounding and clawing, vibrations down the wood. I stepped backwards and fell. My legs were so shaky that I could not stand again, so I just started edging away from the door. But I kicked the key, and it landed a millimetre from the gap between the now violently jerking door and the floor. Bang! 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 Went the door. Sean! Sean! The voice began to lose structure, my name collapsing as it was sounded into a rougher, whinier sounds. I edged my foot out to catch the corner of the key with my toe, and immediately the bashing stopped, and the breathing, faster and deeper than ever before, went down to the gap, following my foot frantically. I could even feel hot breath on my skin as my foot dragged the key away. Just as I got it into my hand, the door burst. I didn't see anything after that. I ran out the door and deep into the back garden, into the dark bushes, and curled up. I shook, and I looked at the glowing yellow windows of the house, just waiting to see a dark shape just waiting for the door to creak open. That thing was coming. It had to. It had smelled me. It had smelled me, and it had broken the door, and it was wandering the house. And soon it would come out into the backyard, and I'd see its shape in the door, and it would sniff around, and it would come for me. I thought these things for 2 hours, until I got so cold my limbs practically froze. But nothing happened. There was no way I was going back in there. But a horrid thought came to mind, and I cursed myself for it. One of the windows near the back end led into his room. I stood up and gave the whole window a wide berth, crouching, edging sideways, and taking every precaution I could to not allow myself to be seen. I would only take a quick peek to see if he had left his room. Tears were in my eyes, those funny old frightened tears. I stood there, frozen outside the window, the yellowish glow from inside teasing the edge of my shape. It reminded me of a museum exhibit I had visited where there had been mannequins in a room dressed up as convicts. I would be dared to look through the foul prison bars, to look in and see the horrid almost people. I always hated it, that moment before I peeked in. I stood outside the window until I slowly turned my head and let one eye glance inward. That was all I had to allow myself. It was more than I'd wanted. Chains all over the door, bolted to the walls. The door was open slightly ajar, as far as it could go before the locked chain stopped it. I saw the collapsed shape of something on the floor, collapsed from exhaustion. It was wearing my uncle's clothes. Against my parents' words, I was not asleep by the time they got back. More than once before we left for home, Great Uncle Roman looked at me with that look he always had, and at last I knew what it meant. Great Uncle Roman did not become the thing in the room. That was wrong. The thing became him. Wow. Hope you guys enjoyed that story as much as I did. I do really enjoy a classic werewolf tale. And that one was quite a different perspective. Please do let me know what you think down below in the comments. I always love reading through your comments, guys. Remember, please do like and share. Also, don't forget, I have opened an official private group on Facebook. It's called DMT's Cabin in the Woods. And I'd love to see all of you over there. Do feel free to send a request in. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday if you're off from work or school. And I hope you're ready for an absolute fantastic Christmas this year and a happy new year. Remember, guys, above all, when you're out and about, be safe, not sorry.